everybody, and welcome to sort of ESO Weekly. We'll call it ESO Weekly Light Edition.
Slim Edition.
Sure.
It's an ESO Weekly that has gone on a diet and lost a couple pounds.
Yes. It went from an obese show to a anorexic show. Sure, we'll go with that.
It's a shorter episode,
yes.
people. That's what we're trying to say here.
Yes, that's what we're saying. Yeah, we have some personal, stuffs to get out the way.
We have the audacity of saying that real life has gotten in the way of ESO Weekly, which I know we gotta figure out our priorities, right? Get them in order, because that should never happen. But yeah, we're moving locations. The Shoddy Den is relocating to another city, so we're gonna spend a lot of the time this week packing and moving and doing all that fun stuff. And yeah, so we just needed to make a shorter episode, and I think we decided to trim it down just to some audience questions, right?
Yeah, there's, as some of you have probably figured out, Zoss kind of likes to just release information every other week, and this is that in-between week where they don't actually release anything, so...
Yeah, it's one of those slow weeks, that on top of the real-life stuff going on. We didn't want to leave you guys without an episode at all, which we did actually kick that idea around a little bit, but yeah, we figure we throw a little something out there just to talk about while we have kind of this down week here.
Yep, so this week we are going to just answer some of the questions that were sent in throughout the week. So let's get into it, starting off with the first one from Brian.
Hello, ShoddyCast. In ESO, do you think that the armor stat system will work in a way that a traditional MMO works, where you have stats such as intelligence, strength, agility, and stamina? Or do you think it'll work how it has been in past test games, where you can only increase armor stats or perks by enchanting and or leveling up in that armor skill line? Thank you for your time in making all of your videos, and I look forward to every bit of content that you guys put out there.
Thank you, George Decay, for that question. Kyle, would you like to take it away?
Oh my. Anyways, yes. No, we're not making fun of you, Brian. We love you.
Oh,
anyways,
that's a compliment. I wish I sounded like George Decay.
Do you? Okay. So armor stats, it's actually going to be a bit of both of what you were describing there. So you'll find armor that has stats on it, like you would find in pretty much every other MMO. So maybe you find some heavy armor and it's got a bunch of health stats on it, or stamina, it's got something on there. But then also you will be able to enchant it with a whole bunch of, I don't even know how many enchantments there's going to eventually be. But yeah, you'll have your assortment to choose from. So yeah, it's a bit of both, and that just further allows you to customize the gear you have that goes with the build you use.
There you have it. Next question.
Next one is from Jared.
Hello, Josh and Kyle. Jared Arnold here. What do you guys think it would take to get people comfortable with the idea that there isn't a quote-unquote best way to play this game? There's been this dogma around MMOs for quite some time, often referred to as the cookie-cutter syndrome, and I'm curious to see how the MMO community will take to this shift in game style and theory. Keep up the awesome work with the show, and for the queen?
Was that a question for the queen? Maybe? I don't know. Am I allowed to say that? Yes, my friend. It's for the queen! Anyway, so cookie cutter builds and stuff like that. For those people who are unfamiliar with MMOs, Kyle, can you define a cookie cutter build for us?
Sure. So, yeah, in some MMOs, people seem to, those min-maxers we like to call them, they find, like, the best build you can possibly have for a specific class. And then they will then post that information on some various website that has builds there, and people will find those and just set up their characters according to those specific stats and everything. So that's what a cookie cutter build is. But that is something they're really trying to shy away from happening in ESO with their open-ended skill system. And the way they designed it, having it being open-ended, is where, yeah, you will end up finding some of those cookie cutter builds, but they're more of what we like to call flavor of the month builds. Because, yeah, you'll find a really awesome build, but then you'll see that other people will find ways to counter that build, and then it makes that awesome build now obsolete and no longer the quote-unquote build of the week or flavor of the week. So you'll still have that sort of cookie cutter feel, maybe, but it won't last like long at all.
Yeah, because what would happen in your traditional MMO is you'd get these cookie cutter builds or flavor of the month builds, and there was nothing really to counter that at all. The only way they would eventually get countered is that the devs would find it and then whack it with a nerf bat. Meaning, if you're not familiar with that term, they would just go in there and nerf your abilities down, making them not deal as much damage or something like that, so that build is no longer viable. Obviously, that kind of takes you out of the game because, that's outside, intervention coming in and doing something. That's not the player base doing that. That's the devs coming in and artificially cutting abilities. Now, what ZeniMax Online is trying to do, and Nick Conkle came on and told us that this is what they're trying to do, and I hope they do succeed with it, is, they're having it to where, sure, there's going to be those flavor of the month builds, but the abilities and having the open-ended class system is going to make it to where you can easily find a build that counters that flavor of the month build. So it's going to be a self-balancing system where players are going to be the ones that are actually going to balance the strengths of certain builds by then making builds that can compete with those builds. If that's actually gonna, pan out when this game releases, that's yet to be seen, but we can only hope.
Yep. All right. And next one is from Robert.
Hey ShoddyCast, I was wondering what you guys think of a spell that would be able to cloak all the teammates around you in like a force field almost, and it would basically take away all incoming damage from swords, from bows, from anything, even magic. And but the catch would be that the person who's casting it would take away their health and magicka at the same time. Also, what do you think about the Aldemir Dominion doing so poorly on most polls? What I mean by that is when you see it, they're usually far behind the Daggerfall Covenant and the Ebonheart Pact. Also, do you think maybe it's just because a lot of people see them as racist? Because a lot of people played Skyrim and, well, the Thalmor weren't the nicest? Do you think Skyrim may have tainted their reputation with most people? Anyway guys, keep up the good work. Keep putting out those ESO weeklies. I love watching them. I hope you can respond to my question. And as always, for the Pact.
I like how he plays himself out with his own music and everything. We didn't add that. That was just there. Okay. Anyway, so the first question was about the most badass ability ever to be made, which was the one where...
The most, OP ability.
Yeah, everyone turns invisible. They don't take any damage, but the guy who's actually casting the spell has to be drained of magicka and health in order to cast this ability.
So they're sacrificial?
Yeah, they're like blood magic or something like that.
Yeah, the only way I can see it, even possibly being implemented in the game is okay, everyone that is in that affected area, sure, they don't take any damage, but any damage that would have been cast on them would go directly onto
the caster.
The caster, yes. So they would die pretty soon. Pretty quickly.
It'd have to be like a tank, somebody who can really take all that damage.
And then the spell would have to, dissipate because they're dead.
Sure.
So
yeah.
Even if it was on there, it would only last a couple seconds because then that person would be dead, and then the rest of the group are now down a person, and it wouldn't work.
Definitely.
And if you did it any other way, it would just be overpowered.
Absolutely. And then what about the other thing he pointed out, which is polls? He's saying the Aldemir Dominion seems to be lagging behind in any of the polls he's been reading across the internet. I guess my answer to that would be not to trust any polls you see anywhere right now, because depending what fan site you're going to actually look at these polls, whether it be the ShoddyCast, Tamriel Foundry, the Tessoff forums, and anywhere you go is going to be tainted by those communities. For example, Tessoff has a great role-playing community that tends to be on there, and it might be skewed more towards, I don't know, maybe the Aldemir Dominion because it's more role-playing. People like to role-play bad Thalmor guys more. I don't know. I'm just throwing hypotheticals out there. Tamriel Foundry, they are very much, there's a lot of min-maxers there, a lot of people who are really into PvP and from the Dark Age of Camelot days and stuff like that. And those PvP guys might, favor an alliance altogether that otherwise wouldn't be ahead. Now, we won't know what class is going to be the most popular, what faction is going to be the most overflooded. We can always speculate, but we won't know for certain until the game actually launches, and ZeniMax maybe will release some statistics on that. We can definitely make educated guesses. I think we all here know that the Ebonheart Pact is going to be the most populated faction. Coming off of a game like Skyrim, they have the Nords, they have the Dark Elves. So many people love the Dark Elves from the games like Morrowind. So, Ebonheart Pact by far is going to be, I think, the most populated.
Yeah, they're going to be the alliance from WoW of ESO.
I think that's exactly right. And then following that train of thought, I think the Aldmeri Dominion is going to be the Horde.
Yeah, they're going to have a lot more adult players.
They're going to have a lot more adult players. I think a lot of the communities are going there. Also, he mentioned the fact that maybe not so many people want to play the Aldmeri Dominion because, coming off of Skyrim, we interacted a lot with the Thalmor, who at the time were really a lot of douchebags in the Thalmor there in Skyrim. And you might think, they're the quote-unquote bad guys. Maybe not so many people will want to play them. I think if anything, more people will probably want to play them because, I don't know, there's a lot of people who want to maybe roleplay a quote-unquote bad character, and although I don't think the Aldmeri Dominion in this era is... it's not black and white, is what I'm saying.
It's not the same Thalmor that you know from Skyrim, because this Thalmor is the governing body that governs, just the Aldmeri Dominion within, Valenwood and stuff, or Valenwood, however you want to pronounce it. They're the actual... Yeah, that's what they are. They're like a governing body within Valenwood. That's basically what they do. Yeah. And so they haven't, spread out, and they're trying to, conquer Tamriel through diplomatic means and stuff. They're not doing that stuff yet. So they're not the Thalmor that you either love or hate.
Yeah, and they're not suppressing religions because there's no Talos at this time or anything like that. So it's all very different. But I don't know. For me, personally, I want to play the Aldmeri Dominion because they tend to be they are naturally a bit more extreme, at least in their views. You can go to Elder Scrolls Online right now and actually read. Each faction leader has a little document that each and one of them wrote, and it tells you basically what their faction stands for. And if you read the Aldmeri Dominion one, it's very much falls along the lines, listen, we are the elder race. These younger upstart races are not wise. They shouldn't rule Tamriel because they haven't been around as long as us. And so, that is... who's to say that's good? Who's to say that's right or wrong? That's the great thing about the Elder Scrolls. It's always been one big gray area, and you get to decide for yourself who you think are the good guys, quote unquote, and who you think are the bad guys. But yeah.
All right.
Next question.
And the final question will be from Steven.
Hey guys, this is my question for you. I don't know if you've covered this in any of your previous videos, but I don't know how it's going to work with people trying to play together from different factions and alliances. One of my friends is going to be an Orc, another's going to be an Argonian, and I'm going to be a Bosmer, so I don't know how we're going to be able to play together without random people from each of our alliances coming in and just going, oh hey, there's some people, we should go fight them, and then killing one or two of us. So I really appreciate you guys answering this question, and keep up the fantastic work every week like you always do. And as always, for the Queen!
For the Queen! Oh. Alright, so the question was, Kyle?
How, if you have a friend or friends each on the other faction, how are you going to play with them? Is that the basic question?
Yeah, I think he said Orc, Argonian, and Breton or something like that. Or Wood Elf.
something like that.
Anyway, they're all playing on different factions. How are you gonna get to play with your buddies is basically the question. So say launch day, you do have all these friends that play, but you're the only one that decided to be like Aldmeri Dominion.
Well, that's the question, because we're still not positive if, while you're leveling, if you'll be able to group up with someone of an opposite faction and then be able to somehow warp over there using a way shrine or something. Maybe using the looking for group system will somehow allow you to go over there. Or if you'll only be able to do that after you've hit level 50 and then you choose the next faction area you'd like to start questing through. So that's the question. We don't know if you'll have to wait till 50 to actually start doing stuff with your friends of another faction, or if you can at any point in time, as long as they're on your friends list, be able to group up with them in a party and then be able to transfer over to their faction. We don't know yet. And we would definitely like to have some information on that. So, Zos, please.
Yeah, I have my fingers crossed for some sort of guesting system, because I'd like to think that all my friends and we can all choose our own races and then play together. But in the meantime, the best assumption to make with this is that there's going to be no guesting. So I would move forward with this whole notion that I'm going to choose my race, and if I want to play with my friends, they have to be on the same faction that I am. So what's more important to you, I guess? The aesthetic of your character, or if you want to play with your friends?
Yeah.
And so that's a decision each and every one of you should go ahead and really make now. Start making your plans, and then just hoping and crossing your fingers that they'll implement something later down the line, or announce something that allows us to play with members of the opposite faction.
Yeah.
If we choose.
If I had to guess, and I think we talked about this last week or the week before, I said I think they are going to go ahead and allow people to, switch between not switch, but play on another faction as long as they are friends with that person and are in their party. And then once you leave that party, you would instantly be warped back, or maybe they give you a timer and before you warp back to your own alliance's territory. I would assume that's how they're going to do it, because they want this to be a very social game. I mean, that's the point of it being an MMO. And it would definitely be a step forward to doing that. I mean, I guess they didn't allow that in WoW, right? You can never play on the Alliance. I mean, you can go there. There's no wall keeping you from going there, but then you're going to get owned by something.
Yeah,
eventually.
yeah. And the big thing is, because I'm guessing if you want to play with another player, you're doing it because you want to like quest together and stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to kill them.
And you'd have to be able to pick up the same quests as that person, and there's a lot that goes into it. So
I'm like, I thought the system's there, because 50 plus you can go there and do the quests there.
That's
so you
what
would
we were
think,
told,
it's built in already. So why not allow you to go in there as long as you're friends with the person? But we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. We'll see if Akaji can be friends with a Nord or not. Only time will tell. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think you have reached the end of this slimmed edition of ESO Weekly. No, this isn't going to be a normal thing. This is just because, real life got in the way, etc., etc.
And the Fallout lore video is still on schedule.
Yes, Fallout lore is still on schedule, so if you're listening to this and haven't heard about Fallout lore, best go check the trailer here on the channel. Also, we're going to have that come out on the 15th. So if you're listening to this right now and it's the 15th or later, you should rush over and watch the Fallout lore series, because it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's going to be every other Friday. They're going to trade off and take turns with the Elder Scrolls lore series. So everything's still on schedule. This is just a little something we had to do differently. And donations will be announced next week, right?
Yep, we're going to have 2 weeks full of donations. That's going to take forever.
Yeah, so if you had any special promotion stuff or anything like that, that's still going to be, that's still good. We're saving them for next week.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, but you've reached the end of this episode of ESO Weekly. I have been Josh. Don't forget to like this video, share it with everyone you know.
And I've been Kyle.
We'll catch you later.
Boom.
Yes, my Eek loves books and loves the ShoddyCast too. Why not kill many birds with single stone and click the Audible link in the description below. Choose any audiobook from thousands for free. You must trust my Eek on these things.